In this demonstration, we'll demonstrate the role of a bookkeeper. Now, the bookkeeper typically handles the day-to-day financials of a smaller, medium-sized business. They're involved with creating invoices, paying bills, and balancing the bank statement. So obviously a solution that you present to the bookkeeper should focus on those core responsibilities of creating invoices, paying bills on time, balancing the bank statements, and then creating financial statements. So in this scenario, what we'll do is we'll enter in a purchase invoice. We'll show you how to automate the purchase invoice entry, review the vendor balance, and then pay that vendor. So the first part of the steps in this presentation is to show you how to manually enter in purchase invoices so that we can provide users with an easy, simple way to enter purchase invoices either in the business application or, believe it or not, within Microsoft Outlook. So think through that scenario where you may have, say, employee turnover or a new staff member, and you're responsible for training them. And sometimes it's not always easy to learn a new application, but what if you had an environment, say, that's familiar to the users, such as Microsoft Outlook, to process this invoice? So you'll see here I've got an invoice, purchase invoice from a vendor. The company is called Wide World Importers, and they've sent me the invoice via email. Now, typically, I'd have to go into an application. I'd minimize this. I'd go into the application. I'd go find the vendor, and I'd manually enter in that data. Or by using Dynamics 365 Business Central integrated into Microsoft productivity tools such as Outlook, all I need to do is select on the Contact Insights button in my ribbon, and you'll see I get a wealth of information regarding the vendor. Right, so it's authenticating and it recognizes the inbound email address, thus provides me everything about that vendor, which is the statistics, the outstanding balances, anything else that's relevant to that vendor, which I can drill into. Now, all I need to do is select new. I'll create this purchase invoice, and what's really impressive here too is that it's constantly monitoring not just the inbound email, but the applications have the intelligence to recognize the text or the body of the email. Now, it probably sees Atlanta as an address from the vendor or something in there. So that's not what I want to bring in, but it does see the two line items of Amsterdam and the Sydney swivel chair. So I'll say, sure, that makes my life simpler. I select OK, and now you see those two items that are on the line items. And then we'll scroll down to see again additional detail. And I bring this up just because it's more than just a cute add-in that looks at headers and lines, but you can see I have the ability to change the payment terms, and again, all the other default information relative that was done during the setup. We'll go ahead and select the ellipsis, and now I can post that invoice right from directly within Outlook. And just to prove that out, you can see I've got an invoice here, 108211. We'll minimize Outlook and we'll go into the posted purchase invoices. I'll hit the F3 key, or I could just enable search, type in that 108211, and there's that purchase invoice that I just created within Outlook. So I just showed you a way in which we could automate that process, and next I'm going to show you how to automate that even further. And so working directly with attachments that come in from these vendors could be common as well. And so let's assume this vendor could be a customer, doesn't provide me all the details in the body of the email. Instead, I receive an attachment of the invoice, the receipt of goods from the vendor to my inbox, and I want to be able to process that, right? Again, think through the risks, the errors, the potential increase in productivity by pulling in this attachment. So again, you see the same email here, and after receiving the purchase invoice and reviewing the vendor invoice, we certainly want to see if there's ways of efficiencies. And right, so again, you see that is the two line items that we added. And again, I'll select on that contact insights. Now, what's going to be a little bit different in this, again, before I created the document right away, it may be just more efficient for me to, via the ellipsis, send this out to a service or send it into my incoming documents folder to have somebody approve it. and then let the optical character recognition or OCR service just process that automatically for us. So I'll say OK, and I'll select OK there. And that's all I need to do. Now I've taken that attachment and I've forwarded it on from Outlook into Business Central. You'll see here again in the particular role center I'm logged into, I have this incoming document tile. I'll open this invoice, and again, you see here, it's the same as we just saw in Outlook. Close that out. And now if I want to convert that to a purchase invoice, I'll send that over to OCR service. And you can see that the status has been sent. All right, and the status here for the document has been released. And then I go ahead and say once it does its processing, you can see the OCR status is successful, and it has created that record, that purchase invoice for me. And then I can go ahead and again, click on post and follow the steps for that posting the invoice. Now to view the vendor balance, I'll go ahead and select vendors. Again, that's available for me right here at the top, wide world importers. And you get everything about their detail and the main setup. But I wanted to just simply drill into the balance of this $27,000 to see this document number 108211 that we started out with, right? So in addition to the past purchase invoices I can see here that are outstanding, I see the most recent one that we just processed. And then, of course, the fourth and final step would be to pay the vendor. So I'll go into cash management. I'll select on the payment journals, and then I can either manually, again, search that out, or in the payment journal window, you can use suggest vendor payments, batch job, to suggest the payment lines. So we'll go ahead and select that, and you can see all of the vendors that we owe, and then you could manually determine which ones are more have a greater priority or make some manual intervention to it. So we'll go ahead and close that out. And again, in this demonstration was to show you just some of the basic accounting functions of a bookkeeper. The benefits are just to reduce the initial learning of a new system, as you saw, by processing that in applications outside of the ERP or accounting system. Clearly, to demonstrate how to reduce time in data entry, improve control of the data, and just limit those errors.